Welcome everyone to this PMP exam prep session. Up until now, you've all completed sections on creating high-performance teams, starting the project, and doing the work. Tonight, we're starting a new section called Keeping the Team on Track. Parts 2 and 3, they'll be covered next Monday and Wednesday. In addition to teaching Part 1 tonight, I'll be back with you on Monday with Chris Williams for Part 2. Kathy O'Toole is my partner tonight. The outline for tonight will be as follows. We'll do a brief introduction. Then we're going to touch on topic A, which is on the subject of lead a team. And then topic B, support team performance. And then at the end, of course, have some time for some final Q&A. We'll take a brief break between topics A and B, but please feel free to pose any questions through the chat functionality or by taking yourself off mute. Kathy's going to be monitoring the chat this evening, and I'll also offer an opportunity for, again, any questions you might have at the end of the topic, and then at the end of the presentation. We'll keep everyone on mute throughout the presentation, so we keep the background noise and interruptions kind of at a minimum. But again, you know, feel free to come off mute. If you have a question or comment, then go ahead and put yourself back on mute once you've finished. Lastly, we'll be recording this session, so if you don't want to be recorded, now is the time to go ahead and exit. So I'll repeat that one more time just in case. We're going to be recording the session, so if you don't want to be recorded this evening, please feel free to go ahead and exit the session now. Before we begin, does anyone have any questions? Again, you may need to take yourself off mute. All right, and Kathy, have I missed anything for our initial opening there? Just want to make sure.
Nope, we have it all. We're doing good. It's recording.
Perfect. Okay, so I wasn't lying when I said we'll have brief introductions. You may all remember me from July 21st when Chris Williams and I started starting the project topics about planning and managing quality, integrating project planning activities, and planning and managing deliverables. It's been about a month ago. My name is Cindy Horton. I've been with AT&T for about 20 years. I've had many different roles, several with project program manager titles. Today, I'm a data privacy analyst in the Warner Media Legal Privacy Organization under Jim Meza and Susan Rohal. I passed the PMP exam in 2017, just before it was changed to the newer format. And I've been teaching PMP prep classes with PMN for a little over a year now. And it's a pleasure to be here this evening with you. As I mentioned earlier, Kathy O'Toole will be my partner tonight. Kathy's been with you for prior sessions as well, as recent as past Monday. So Kathy, thank you again for being here once again and being the backup and monitoring this evening for Q&A. So let's get started with tonight's content. And so the recording again has already started. If you've reviewed the exam content outline, or what is referred to as the ECO, you know that there are 3 areas or domains that the exam is going to be focused on. That's people, process, and the business environment. Tonight's topics, lead a team and support team performance, fall squarely in domain 1 about people. About 42% of the exam questions will be from this domain, so it is well worth your time and energy to not only absorb as much as you can tonight, but to also invest significant time in mastering this content. The content that we cover tonight is covered in more detail in the PMBOK. You can find more information than what we'll be covering tonight in chapters 9 on project resource management and on chapter 7 in project cost management. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so your project has been assembled and is doing the work of the project, right? As a project manager, you're responsible for ensuring that the team stays on track. You'll provide leadership that facilitates collaboration among the team and the stakeholders, and you're going to manage conflict, and you can be assured that there will be conflict, and you'll certainly be working to remove any obstacles. In the exam content,
Cindy?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't think the slides are advancing.
Oh, I'll advance next. I'm stuck on this slide for just a moment. Thank you, though.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you for asking. In the examination content outline, which again, it's domain 1, it focuses on people and it has 14 tasks. In this session, we'll be covering again task 2, lead a team, and task 3, support team performance. And then in this lesson tonight, you're going to learn how to A, inspire, motivate, and influence team members and stakeholders, and how to B, appraise team performance against key performance indicators. Okay. There are many ways to lead a team. There's no one approach that's perfect for every situation. The appropriate leadership style depends on the situation, the project, the stakeholders, your skills, and many other factors. A project manager must be astute in various leadership styles to apply the most suitable technique for the moment. Teams are made up of individuals with different skill sets, backgrounds, experiences, and attitudes. Cohesive, collaborative teams typically are more productive and effective. A project manager must cultivate the optimal project environment best suited for the team. You must help the team appreciate the project's objective, mission, and goals, as well as see their value in achieving those aims. In the Lead a Team topic, we'll address various enablers from the exam context outline, including setting a clear vision and mission, supporting diversity and inclusion, valuing servant leadership, determining an appropriate leadership style, inspiring, motivating, and influencing team members and stakeholders, analyzing team members and stakeholders' influence, distinguishing various options to lead various team members and stakeholders, and maintaining the team. The following deliverables and tools are relevant to the enablers addressed in this topic. I've highlighted the ones I think we're going to be touching on most during this session, but others might be covered in detail in other sections of the course. There is no one in the project better suited to convey the vision and goals of the project while also speaking about the team's progress toward those goals than the project manager. A project manager serves as a visionary leader who helps by educating the team and other stakeholders of the value achieved or targeted, promoting teamwork and collaboration, assisting with project management tools and techniques, removing roadblocks, and articulating the project's mission. Promoting the project's mission and values inspires the team to remain focused and feel pride in what they're doing. Seeing and guiding the project towards near and long-term goals keeps the project moving forward and aligned to the end users' and customers' expectations. Not all team members and other stakeholders are motivated and inspired the same way. Project managers need to recognize and act upon the most suitable and reasonable approach to lead the project team. Whether that approach is to take charge and rile the troops or to quietly work behind the scenes, a project manager must adapt his or her leadership style to the situation and the stakeholders. The approach the project manager takes demands awareness of individual and team aims and working relationships. I'll pause here for a minute just to remind everybody to be on mute if you haven't already. Thanks. Cultural and diversity aspects are important elements to implementing effective leadership modes. The motivations and working styles of individuals and groups vary greatly based on their experiences, age, culture, job roles, and many, many other influencers. Communication and openness to learn from others builds trust, and it improves the optimal options to lead various team members and stakeholders. Your competencies in this area become more global and diversified as you work on more projects involving more diverse locations, industries, organizations, stakeholders, working styles, and cultures. As a project manager, you must possess and apply leadership skills that enable a good working environment and guide your project team toward accomplishing the desired result. This requires a balance of ethical, interpersonal, and conceptual skills that help you analyze situations and interact appropriately. Because project managers work with and communicate with several different people throughout the life cycle of a project, having strong leadership skills is critical. The ability to manage relationships, build trust, collaborate with others, solve problems, exhibit integrity, and guide the team toward a successful project close are some of the qualities and skills necessary in an effective leader. Depending on the project manager's personality and a project's environment, the leadership style that is used can vary from a hands-off approach to a more involved style. Leadership and management are sometimes used interchangeably. However, the two terms are differently. Leadership refers to guiding the team by using discussion and an exchange of ideas, whereas management refers to directing the team by using a prescribed set of behaviors. Demonstrating and modeling the behavior you expect of others and the project stakeholders displays leadership every day. Lead as you would like to be led. Rather than manage projects in teams, try to keep the project on plan and the team in line. Servant leaders help teams develop and grow as a group and as individuals. They facilitate the team's work by providing coaching and training, remove blocks that impede work progress, either from people or processes, and they focus on team accomplishments rather than on team misfires. To help reflect this change in orientation, many organizations use the term project leader rather than project manager. In some project organizations, especially in agile teams, the necessity of a project manager assigning and directing individuals is not as important as a project manager facilitating and guiding individuals. Servant leadership means leading by supporting the team and addressing their needs. This style aims to understand the team's needs and take action to enable the team to perform and deliver. Typically, enablement is done by seeking ways to support the project holistically so that the team can accomplish objectives in a conducive environment and look for a servant leader to lead with communication and negotiation with outside stakeholders, such as removing distractions or roadblocks. You are working for the team. The team is not working for you. Therefore, you must focus on their needs. Being a servant leader requires skills such as active listening, coaching, awareness, and facilitation. The team members have technical skills. They look for a servant leader to lead with communication and negotiation with outside stakeholders, again, such as removing distractions or roadblocks. Just because something is the way things have always been done or the way the products were made in the past does not necessitate that that is the way things are to go for this project. Challenging the status quo can open up new ideas and perspectives. Challenging the way things were done or are being done at the present time ensures all involved that this is the best approach and the best product. It also breaks complacency and blind acceptance. Encouraging healthy skepticism on all aspects of the project and its visions helps stakeholders not overlook anything and assume too much. The challenge of the status quo is an important part of reviewing the current environment and crafting your vision statement. A simple, short vision statement is an effective tool that can inspire the project team. Much of how you lead or cannot lead a team is based partially on your influence and the influence of the other project stakeholders. Influence goes in many different directions. The direction is often dictated by roles or titles, such as upwards, senior management, downwards, team or specialist, outwards, external, or sideward, project managers and peers. Although the classification model can also distinguish influence based on prioritization, urgency, and other aspects. One of my favorite books is Leadership 101 by John Maxwell. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a short read, but it's packed with wisdom. In Chapter 8, he delves into the topic of influence and the levels of leadership. In the graphic I've added to this slide, the lowest level of leadership starts with position. People follow you because they must. But as the leader develops his or her skills in developing influence, by developing relationships, being effective in delivering results, because people like to be associated with success and achievement, helping others to grow and develop, in other words, acquiring better skills and experiences and progressing in their careers, then ultimately people simply follow because of who you are out of respect. In the last paragraph of the book, he says, everyone is a leader because everyone influences someone. Not everyone will become a great leader, but everyone can become a better leader. He concludes the chapter with the following poem, which I like a lot, so that's why I want to share it, and it's titled My Influence. My life shall touch a dozen lives before this day is done, leave countless marks of good or ill ere sets the evening sun. This, the wish I always wish, the prayer I always pray. Lord, may my life help others' lives it touches by the way. So yes, indeed, influence is incredibly important in building our leadership and having others follow us as a result. Let's shift now and discuss some tools for informing your leadership strategy. A Salience model is a classification model that groups stakeholders based on their level of authority, their immediate needs, and how appropriate their involvement is in terms of the project. Two-dimensional grids or classification models enable you to group stakeholders based on two factors. Some grids might be of the power interest grid type, where stakeholders are grouped based on their levels of authority and interest in the project, or of the project power influence grid type, where stakeholders are grouped based on their levels of authority and involvement in the project. You can use the two-dimensional grid, such as the power interest grid, as a classification method for documenting the stakeholder analysis results. Classifying your stakeholders in terms of their power, influence, and impact on your project is useful when it comes to communications and engagement. For example, in the figure, Jane has high levels of both power and interest and must be managed closely to maintain a good relationship with her during the project. While Joe's level of interest is lower than Jane's, you still make sure that Joe is satisfied with the project's progress and status. For those stakeholders with lower levels of power, Amy needs to be kept informed, while Frank requires less effort throughout the project. Project teams perform better when there is increased cohesion and solidarity. Good project leadership facilitates the bonding between project team members. Facilitating team building activity builds unity, but it also builds trust, empathy, and focus on the team over the individual. A reward and recognition plan is a formalized way to reinforce performance or behavior. Reward and recognition plans are generally standardized throughout an organization and approved through corporate channels. The purpose is to motivate the team to perform well. Rewards can include monetary gifts, additional vacation time, or other perks, company plaques or trophies, or small gifts. Although it's common for the terms reward and recognition to be used interchangeably, they are different. You can recognize a person without giving them a reward. However, you should never reward a person without recognizing them. Rewards are tangible, consumable items that are given to a person based on a specific outcome or an achievement. Rewards can also have a defined start and finish or fixed time, and they're usually expected when the specified goal is achieved or attained. For example, receiving a bonus after a successful year is a reward. Recognition is a more personalized, intangible, and experiential event that focuses on behavior rather than the outcome. Recognition is not restricted to a set time, is usually unexpected by the receiver, and it's intended to increase an individual's feelings of appreciation. For example, receiving public acknowledgement and appreciation for helping another department that was short-staffed is considered recognition. A bit of caution, though. Rewarding or recognizing a team member for working overtime due to poor planning or in an effort to receive extra pay is not an effective reward and recognition plan because it does nothing to motivate the team to perform well or to improve team morale. Using good management skills to manage your project team results in a solid staffing management plan, updated and submitted change requests, resolution of issues, and good lessons learned documentation, as well as productive team members. To effectively manage a project team, you'll want to follow these guidelines. First, use emotional intelligence and other style typing methods to enable you to flex your behavior to a style that works best for each stakeholder. Establish good communication among team members internally and externally. Monitor performance of team members on an ongoing basis. Specific actions you can take include monitoring progress of team members by speaking with them one-on-one. Don't wait for the emails or the monthly reports. Get out there and see for yourself what progress is being made by the team and what intangibles such as morale, engagement, or cynicism are in play. Developing a set of metrics for each project to measure team performance. Establishing tolerances for each so that corrective actions can be taken when needed, and using a management by exception approach to avoid micromanaging the team. Provide constructive feedback to team members on a frequent basis. Team members need to know that they're either on track or need to take steps to get back on track. Performance reviews can be formal or informal. If disciplinary actions are taken, these must be in writing to avoid any misunderstanding. Consider, too, additional training for those team members who need to improve their performance. Manage conflict by using the appropriate approach based on the circumstances and the individuals involved. Regardless of the approach, apply the following principles. Allow people to have their say. Make sure you give both sides a chance to state their case. Demonstrate respect and acknowledge people's different positions. That's necessary to address conflicts effectively. Listen hard to what people are telling you. Paraphrase or ask questions to be sure everyone understands what is being said. Find those areas at issue where both sides agree. Encourage both sides to find a win-win resolution to the problem. Restate the resolution and get agreement from both parties. Focus on the reasons that the group has come together to find a resolution to the problem. To help avoid unnecessary conflict, set expected ground rules in the beginning. The team must operate with these based on their communications management plan. During the project life cycle, follow established project management practices and refer to your communications management plan for guidance. When conflict occurs among team members or between the team or other organizational entities, it may be effective to implement the conflict management approach to confrontation, focusing on the problem. It may be advantageous to try to diffuse conflicts early to avoid escalation. And lastly, as results are being obtained during the implementation phase, establish an issues log to track and assign project issues. This log is useful for regular follow-up with the project team. Hold specific team members accountable for resolution of these issues. So that concludes our this section for Lead a Team. I'm going to stop here for a moment and ask if you have any questions. Now, there was a lot of information, but in a short amount of time. Please remember, you may have to take yourself off mute if you have any questions. I really didn't expect it to be quite that short, but apparently, I mean, this is just, you know, I know all of you are probably very seasoned in your jobs, your roles, probably already know a lot of this information or been exposed to it in the past. Still, again, as I mentioned earlier, don't take it lightly. Again, 42% of the exam is going to have questions on managing people, leading your people, your team. So it's very good to be familiar with all the concepts that we talked about today, plus more that you'll find again in the PMBOK and some of the other resources that the facilitators have been sharing with you over the past couple of months now. I'll pause again, see if there are any additional questions before we decide what to do next, since we're so early in the session here.
This is Kathy. I was just curious how many people are leading a team right now. There's no one?
I'm leading a team.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, I lead a team as well.
I was going to say that I'm leading a team of peers on a project right now.
How's that going for you?
Going well. I mean, I treat them all as equal partners. We all have the skills and contributions that is expected. So, you know, it seems like we're working well, and we've been together for quite a few years. So, fortunately,
so that makes it easy.
It does. It
Easier,
does.
Right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of you know, chest thumping or anything like that. And the most important thing I think is that, you know, to make sure that, especially people that are a lot more seasoned than you in different areas, feel comfortable and not intimidated enough, so they offer their experiences freely.
Right. That's so helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if your team is in the beginning, and I know we're going to talk about this in the next topic, but when you just start working with a new team, it gets a little difficult in the beginning.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy, for offering that up for questions. Yes, I don't have any direct reports. Right now, I have had them in the past, but I do have a team that I engage with on a regular basis. We all do a very similar role, but I'm the team lead, so to say, but they don't report to me. And so I find it's very challenging sometimes, especially being in a remote environment. I've had to, employ some different skills and capabilities that I didn't have to in the past when I had folks reporting directly to me or we were co-located together. So, again, all this is very relevant, I think, to everything most of us do on a day-to-day basis. And I encourage you again to always investing in building and honing your leadership skills. All right. So at this point, if we were actually halfway through the session, I think it would be a good time to take a break. I'm open to taking a break if anybody would like to do that, but I think if we could plow on through, which I'm good either way, I might be able to give you some time back in your evening, and you can either dedicate that to study or prepping for another session. Does anybody have any objections?
Plow away.
I'm good to go through, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So these next couple of slides are Chris, in the slide deck, and your mentoring team, I think, is probably working with you. I do encourage you that you work on these and revisit them as well. So wherever you see some activities, or feel free to hop in and do those if there's any activities included. So we'll go ahead and get started now with topic B, supporting the team performance. Okay. So as a project manager and a leader, you'll want to get the most from your team. There are many ways to support the team's efforts and their performance. And in this topic, we'll explore a few practices that determine appropriate feedback that provides the best support for the team. In this topic, we'll address various enablers from the exam content outlined. We'll discuss how to appraise team performance against key performance indicators, support and recognize team growth and development, determine appropriate feedback approach, verify team member performance improvement, and support team task accountability. On this slide are a list of deliverables and tools that are relevant to the enablers addressed in this topic. We won't be covering all of these in this session. However, they might be covered in detail in other sections of the course. Regardless, again, you should be familiar with all, and the PMP and other supporting study resources can certainly help you in that endeavor. Okay. There's nothing quite like the excitement you feel when you hit some big business goals, and just having a mental image of your success can trigger a wide range of emotions, from motivation to anxiety. Optimism is always a good thing, but when it's time to execute and you realize that there are holes in your original plan, the positivity starts to fade away. There are a lot of reasons why plans don't go smoothly. We've all experienced that. But in many cases, it's because the project goals just weren't clear enough. Having a desired outcome in mind is good, but it will be impossible to attain if the entire journey toward the outcome is a mystery. So the solution to this is SMART goals. And as you see here, we'll talk a little bit more about it, what SMART means. But I think y'all have all probably at some point been familiarized with the SMART model, maybe even in your current role. Key performance indicators are a set of metrics used to evaluate a team's performance against the project vision and objectives. These KPI metrics can help give the team assurance that they're progressing toward the goals of the project. When it comes to defining useful KPIs, the SMART acronym can be used as a guide. SMART goals are designed to help you create a more in-depth project plan so you can measure your success more accurately and make more precise adjustments along the way. The difference between normal goals and SMART goals is that normal goals are simply what you aim to achieve. SMART goals, on the other hand, include finer details in the equations, such as resources, deadlines, and potential roadblocks along the way. In other words, normal goals can be defined as what you want to achieve, while SMART goals are what you want to achieve and what details of the journey are going to be. This means that you should carefully plan your schedule, determine your project management deliverables, and account for every resource that you have. SMART goals take more effort to create and follow, but they ensure a higher likelihood of succeeding. Like a lot of things in life, the extra effort is worth it in the end. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's talk a little bit about each. Specific means the goal is appropriately focused and targeted, specific to the objective at hand. You can't go around setting goals like the traffic to our site should increase and expect planning to be easy. Being specific is necessary for the effective manager. Being unclear with your goals only makes it difficult to determine just where you currently are along the way. Instead, set your goals in a descriptive enough way that you can quickly get an idea about how to design your roadmap when you think about it. For instance, instead of the example mentioned above, your goal should be the traffic to our site should be X users daily by next month. The next is measurable. You're halfway through a big project, your team seems to be performing to expectations, and you've still got a good couple of weeks. You feel like the project's going well, but you're not 100% sure. So you ask yourself, what's missing? Well, it's probably metrics. If you haven't defined any metrics, in other words, quantifying the team's performance to meeting the project vision and objectives, then deciding whether you should adjust will be troublesome. Furthermore, making the adjustments becomes more challenging and distracting. Taking the time to identify clear metrics will keep the team focused and reduce confusion, especially with stakeholders and even sponsors. Some examples of metrics include tasks or backlog items completed per week, average hours spent on a task, and the number of defects per 100 items completed. One of the best ways to measure these, as well as your productivity, is by using a time tracking and activity monitoring tool. In my organization, the development teams use a tool called JIRA to document the project goal, the objectives, and tasks or backlog items. Your organization may have an organizational process asset like JIRA that the team will use, and you should be aware of them for your project or projects. The third letter is achievable. When setting your goals, one of the most important and the hardest questions project managers need to ask themselves is, can it be done? If the answer is no, changes to your project goals and objectives may be necessary. It's not bad to be ambitious, but there are instances when it simply isn't possible to achieve a particular goal. For example, you want to complete a big project in 1 month with a team of only 5 people. Not only is this going to quickly burn through your team's energy, but it also entails a high probability of scheduling conflicts with other projects, which can hurt the overall business. A reliable way to determine whether a goal is achievable or not is looking at the results in the previous month. If you see a rising trend, you could use this as a benchmark and set your goals with it. Relevant. Having many project goals is good. Not having many problems is not. Having many project goals is good, especially if you're on track to accomplishing them. At the same time, handling several projects simultaneously can negatively affect your team's work output quality and cause product productivity to decline over time. Relevance ensures that the KPI is meaningfully related to its associated critical success factors. The goal needs to be relevant in the context of a larger objective and critical success factors. Make sure to revisit your goals regularly and reevaluate if they are required for the success of the project. Are they worth allocating valuable resources for? Will the results have a significant impact on the growth of the business? Teams find it difficult to drop a goal they've already put in effort into. but is sometimes a better option than to continue wasting time and energy. And then lastly, time bound. Regardless of the size and complexity of your project, time will not stop or slow down. So you should plan for every second as much as you can. If your plan contains the phrase, however long it takes, you might want to reconsider it. Having time-bound goals means that your goals are feasible in terms of the given time frame. It's about understanding that some of your goals will take longer to complete than others, and that you may need to set aside other goals because time does not permit its completion with the resources that you currently have access to. So an example of a SMART goal may be produce 5 high-quality blog posts every month. It's specific. Schedule compelling posts on the editorial calendar and publish them on a regular basis. That makes it more specific, right? To get a measurable component, you'll want to determine how many visitors is the post getting. Are they being converted into customers? Is it attainable? We were able to produce 4 posts per month for the past year, and we have onboarded a new experienced blog editor. So yes, it seems like it may be attainable. Is it relevant? Well, 10% of our visitors to our blog are converted to paying customers. So the measurement the goal seems to be right. And then is it time bound? 30 days is enough to perform keyword search and publish the content. So you'll use this framework as a way of determining whether your goal or your objective has those attributes to it, okay? And therefore then be able to ensure a greater likelihood of success in your project. Let's shift now to talk a little bit about team culture and empowerment. In projects, the team is the most important part. Without a good unified team, the project falls apart, and even the best project management plan becomes insufficient. Team members who are empowered to make decisions in a timely manner generally lead the team delivering a product with a sense of complete ownership. Project managers who try to exert more control over the work is disruptive, and it reduces the members' motivation to work. Rather than taking a heavy-handed approach to team discipline, project managers should encourage team collaboration and decision-making. As the team recognizes the power and influence they possess, they'll begin to depend on each other to make decisions and to solve problems to deliver targeted value quickly. Another way to grow team empowerment is to include the team in clarifying and prioritizing requirements, splitting requirements into tasks, and estimating the effort. In addition to lending to building a realistic schedule, it also sets and reaffirms a foundation for the commitment of the entire team to meeting the objectives of the project. In the case of any challenges during the project, this involvement leads to an increased sense of ownership among the team members. Team structure and workspaces. The environment and location of a project team are extremely important elements to leading and managing projects. In agile projects particularly, meaningful interaction is a core tenet. To encourage frequent, free-flowing interaction, the team structure and workspaces must be supportive to this need. The project manager needs to focus a significant amount of time ensuring that the team's members can contribute everywhere and at any time. Being involved and engaged encourages meaningful interactions. No one should be constrained or restricted to a singular role or engaged only when someone tells them to be. Everyone is engaged all the time and can take initiative whenever needed. Setting up the physical workspace or work environment supports the whole team engagement. Co-locating all involved in a shared workspace fosters more informal and immediate collaboration and exchange of information and ideas. Even passive information like ad hoc discussions, side conversations, and whiteboard drawings have value. Benefits of being involved with the team physically and mentally include working more efficiently, more collaboratively, and more unified. Lastly, establishing a culture of fluid communication and engagement in a workplace that promotes those interactions makes leading and managing teams much easier. Invariably, when working on very large projects, the project manager may be faced with not being able to co-locate resources, or there may be extenuating circumstances, for example, COVID-19, that make it prohibitive to co-locate physically. The project manager can leverage the team to identify ways to make communication more fluid in a virtual setting. In addition to leveraging tools like Slack, Teams, and SharePoint, project managers can model inclusive behaviors like regularly calling on others who are not talking or contributing to discussions to ensure their voices are being heard. Some individuals will simply find it easier not to speak up unless they're called on, even if it's simply to offer support to someone else's ideas or observations. I'm going to stop there for a moment. I know we've been working, a lot of us have been working in a virtual environment for a little over a year. It's been a big change for many of us. And I'd be curious to see, maybe what are some of the things that y'all have been doing along the way that help and, encourage communication. Anybody got something they'd like to contribute?
Well, our team, since we've been virtual, kind of hosts like quarterly get-togethers or on like WebEx or now Teams, kind of just we call them happy hours. Mm-hmm. So someone puts them together and everybody kind of get together, and it's more about team building and that interrelationship versus work is like work is offline topic. It's like this time is just for us to build our relationships and really get together and get to know each other.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Anyone else have something unique or different that they've been doing?
I think when you're hosting meetings, it's imperative to have a clear agenda and make sure that the participants that'll be providing feedback and details, that they're aware of what's being requested of them, and just to make sure that they're prepared properly for the meetings and discussions.
Yeah, I think that taking that to the next level is certainly an imperative in this environment. Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all weighing in and sharing. It's fantastic. And I know there's a lot of us that have probably come up with some new and unique things that we've been doing. And if you're looking for those types of options, I can tell you now I've queried done many of a Google search, and I found some really fantastic ideas. So I encourage you, as you again work to make your team more cohesive, more communicative, that you do a little bit of research and of course reach out to your peers. You have a huge network of peers here in the PMN, and I'm sure all of us would be happy to share our ideas. Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit more about team building activities then. To foster team building with the project team, a project manager might ask each of the veteran employees on the team to partner with a less experienced team member, offer coaching as needed, and sharing knowledge, information, and expertise. Within my organization, we decided to do this, and we kind of called it a buddy system for our new team members, recognizing that it can be daunting to figure out who's responsible for doing what, how, and where information is shared, and so forth. By having a buddy, a new team member, has a known go-to person that's willing to help identify resources and resolve their issues quickly. And this helps the team member to integrate with the team and the team's goals more quickly and to get up to speed faster. So that's kind of one of the things that we've done in my organization. Team building is conducting activities that enhance the team's social relations and build a collaborative and cooperative working environment. Team building activities can vary, say from a 5-minute agenda item in a status review meeting to an off-site, professionally facilitated event designed to improve interpersonal relationships. The objective of team building activities is to help individual team members work together effectively. Team building strategies are particularly valuable when team members, again, operate from remote locations without the benefit of face-to-face contact. In my another example of something that we do in our organization, we have about 50 people dispersed across multiple time zones because we're a global company with some team members, like I said, located in, across oceans actually, and gosh, other continents, man, I tell you, I think we have someone on every continent. To help except for Antarctica, I guess. To help to help everyone to become more familiar with one another, one of the things we did was we launched a monthly coffee roulette, where groups of 3 or 4 get together for about 30 minutes, and sometimes it's less than that, just to introduce themselves and to answer a few fun, non-work related questions like, what's your favorite fast food, or your favorite restaurant, or, what was a really good movie you've seen recently, or a series. Informal communication and activities can help in building trust and establishing good working relationships. While team building is essential during the initial stages of the project, it should be a continuous process. Changes in a project environment are inevitable, and to manage them effectively, a continuous or renewed team building effort probably needs to be applied and reapplied. The project manager should continually monitor team functionality and performance to determine if any actions are needed to prevent or correct various team problems. As project team development efforts such as training, team building, and co-location are implemented, the project management team makes formal and informal assessments of the project team's effectiveness. Effective team development strategies and activities are expected to increase the team's performance, which increases the likelihood of meeting the project's goals. Evaluating the team's performance may include indicators such as improvement in skills that allow individuals to perform assignments more effectively, improvements in competencies that help team members perform better as a team, reduced staff turnover rate, and increased team cohesiveness where team members share information and experiences openly and help each other to improve the overall project performance. As a project manager, you can follow these guidelines to assess team performance. Number 1, asking questions of the team members such as work experience, likes and dislikes about the projects assigned to them, tasks that they are confident about, and project tasks that they prefer to do. 2, speak to team members frequently through one-on-one meetings and regular project meetings. 3, provide constructive criticism and praise the team members as appropriate. Team successes should be announced publicly, while reprimanding should be done in private. Number 4, encouraging knowledge transfer. Provide team members with convenient, reliable methods for storing and accessing project knowledge, and assess them on how well they provide and retrieve that information. For example, I facilitate a weekly meeting with our privacy operations personnel who leverage many different resources in the privacy assessment process. To make it easier for them to find these resources, I included a list of common resources and the links to them with live SharePoint or wiki links in the meeting series invite. So in our weekly meeting series invite, there's a whole section on resources with those links. And so this helps with efficiency as the team members can, then quickly serve themselves. They don't have to go hunting around to try to find a resource. I've already taken care of that for them. Number 5, another guideline is to evaluate individual performance. Project managers must listen to the team members before responding and must be objective and flexible when necessary. We'll cover evaluating individual performance in more detail in the next topic, and the one coming up next week. And then lastly, number 6, in situations where a team member is not performing at the desired level, it may be necessary to remove the member from the team and reassign his or her work to another resource. If this isn't possible due to the workload and experience of other team members, it may be necessary to replace the underperforming resource and to assign his or her work to the new resource. Team performance assessment. Moving on to performance assessment tasks. Project managers can use team performance assessment to accomplish several tasks, including comparing performance to goals, re-clarifying roles and responsibilities, delivering positive as well as negative feedback, discovering unknown or unresolved issues, creating and monitoring individual training plans, and establishing future goals. Team effectiveness is enhanced by a team's commitment to reflection and ongoing evaluation. In addition to evaluating accomplishments in terms of meeting specific goals for teams to be high performing, it is essential for them to understand their development as a team. Most of us are familiar with the concept of the terrible twos in early childhood. Understanding that developmental stage makes it easier to accept the constant stream of no, 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 no that we might hear from a 2-year-old. Similarly, teams go through stages of development. The most used framework for a team's stages of development was developed in the mid-1960s by Bruce Tuckman. Although many authors have written variations and enhancements to Tuckman's work, his descriptions of forming, storming, norming, and performing provide a useful framework for looking at your own team. The adjourning stage is a transitional stage. Each stage of the team development has its own recognizable feelings and behaviors. Understanding why things are happening in certain ways on your team can be an important part of the self-evaluation process. These stages are a helpful framework for recognizing a team's behavioral patterns and then approaching them with a tailored plan. They are most useful as a basis for team conversation rather than boxing the team into a diagnosis. And just as human development is not always linear, think of the 5-year-old child who reverts to thumb sucking when a new sibling is born. Team development is not always a linear process. Having a way to identify and understand causes for changes in the team behaviors can help the team maximize its process and its productivity. Let's delve a little bit more deeper into each stage and discuss the feelings and behaviors associated with each, as well as the approaches that we can take to ensure progression. So let's start with forming. The feelings that you'll usually see come about in this stage is team members that are wondering whether the decision to join the team was a wise one, right? They're making additional judgments about the skills and personal qualities of their teammates, as well as worrying about how they personally will be viewed by the rest of the team. Some of the behaviors that you might see in this stage are they tend to include polite and non-committal conversation as people hesitate to reveal too much about their personal views. In addition, team meetings tend to be confusing as these team members try to figure out who's really in charge. The team task that we want to take around this is in this forming stage is to make sure that we create a team with clear structure, goals, direction, and roles so that the members begin to build trust. A good orientation/kickoff process can help to ground the team members in terms of the team's mission and goals, and can establish team expectations about both the team's product and, more importantly, the team's process. During this forming stage, much of the team's energy is focused on defining the team, so task accomplishment may be relatively low. In the storming stage, let's talk a little bit about the feelings there. As the team begins to move towards its goals, members will begin to discover that the team can't live up to all their early excitement and expectations. Their focus may shift from the task at hand to feelings of frustration or anger with the team's progress or process. Members may express concern about being unable to meet the team's goals. And during the storming stage, members are trying to see how the team will respond to differences and how it will handle conflict. From a behavioral standpoint, team members' behaviors begin to be more assertive as they seek to control issues as they emerge. Personality differences will start to arise. Conflicts will result as team members differ on the way they want to do the project work or the way they want to make decisions. Team tasks during the storming stage of development call for the team to be, to get refocused on its goals, perhaps breaking the larger goals down into smaller, achievable steps. The team may need to develop both task-related skills and group process and conflict management skills. A redefinition of the team's goals, roles, and tasks can help team members pass the frustration or confusion they experience during the storming stage. In the norming stage, some of the feelings that we'll notice here, during the norming stage of team development, team members begin to resolve the discrepancy they feel between their individual expectations and the reality of the team's experience. If the team is successful in setting more flexible, inclusive norms and expectations, members should experience an increased sense of comfort in expressing their real ideas and feelings. Team members feel an increasing acceptance of others on the team, recognizing that the variety of opinions and experiences make the team stronger and its product richer. Constructive criticism is both possible and welcomed. Members start to feel part of a team and can take pleasure from the increased group cohesion. Behaviors during the norming stage may include members making a conscious effort to resolve problems and achieve group harmony. There may be more frequent and more meaningful communication among the team members, and an increased willingness to share ideas or ask teammates for help. As a result, the team begins to work productively without worrying about personal acceptance or control issues. There are still conflicts, however, they tend to be more focused on process issues rather than personality differences, and the team begins to operate off mutual dependence and trust. During the norming stage, as members shift their energy to the team's goals and show an increase in productivity in both individual and collective work, the team may find that this is an appropriate time for an evaluation of team processes and productivity. And then feelings in the performing stage, they begin to feel some satisfaction in the team's progress. They share insights into personal and group process and are aware of their own and others' strengths and weaknesses. Members feel attached to the team as something greater than the sum of its parts, and they feel satisfaction in the team's effectiveness. Members feel confident in their individual abilities and those of their teammates. Some of the behaviors that we'll see there include being highly collaborative, communicating freely, and solving their own, Members feel attached to the team, Team members' behaviors include feeling highly collaborative, communicating freely, and solving their own conflicts. The team is working at optimum productivity in this stage. Just one moment. One of the things that we'll want to do is, from a team task standpoint in this performing stage, is that we want to get the commitment to the team's mission as high and the competence of the team high as possible during this, right? So team members should continue to deepen their knowledge and their skills, including working to continuously improve team development. Accomplishments in team process or progress are measured and celebrated. And then lastly, the adjourning stage, as I mentioned earlier, that is more of a transition stage. When the team comes to an end, we want to, now move out of the team environment, right? So the team members may start to feel a variety of concerns about the team's impending dissolution. They may be feeling anxiety because of uncertainty about their individual role or their future responsibilities. They might feel sadness or a sense of loss about the changes coming to their team relationships. And at the same time, team members may feel a sense of deep satisfaction at the accomplishments of the team. Individual members might feel all these things at the same time, and they may cycle through feelings of loss followed by feelings of satisfaction. Given these conflicting feelings, individual and team morale may rise or fall throughout the ending stage. It's highly likely that at any given moment, individuals on the team may be experiencing different emotions about the team's ending. From a behavior standpoint, during this stage, some members may become less focused on the team's tasks and their productivity may actually drop. Alternatively, some team members may find focusing on the task at hand as an effective response to their sadness or their sense of loss. Their task productivity may actually increase. Some of the tasks that we'll want to kind of keep focused on here during this particular stage is acknowledging the upcoming transition and the variety of ways that the individuals in the team may be feeling about the team's impending dissolution. During this stage, the team should focus on three things: completion of any deliverables and closure of any remaining teamwork, evaluation of the team's process and product with a particular focus on identifying lessons learned and passing these on to the sponsor for future team's use, and creating a closing celebration that acknowledges the contributions of individuals and the accomplishments of the team and that formally end the team's existence. Sometimes I think these things actually get pretty much lost in a lot of our projects. They're very important. I think the adjourning stage is a very critical part of the process here that, like I said, is often overlooked. The process of forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning is not done in lockstep. The duration of a particular stage depends upon team dynamics, team size, and team leadership. Also, team members keep coming in and out of the team. Whenever a new member joins, forming takes place, even if the rest of the team has already crossed the forming stage. So these stages are not followed one after the other, but rather are situational. Project managers should have a good understanding of team dynamics in order to move their teams through all the stages in an effective manner. That's a lot of information, but good information. It's good to revisit it if you haven't heard it in a while. So let's talk a little bit about effective teams. It is the responsibility of the project manager to build an effective project team and to foster teamwork. Managers should give opportunities that challenge the team members' ability, provide support and timely feedback, and recognize and reward good performance. To achieve the best team performance, managers should use effective communication methods, develop trust among team members, manage conflicts, and promote collaborative decision-making and problem-solving. Project managers should seek support from upper management or the appropriate stakeholders to effectively build project teams. And this will help improve people skills, advance technical competencies, build good team environment, and increase the project performance. Management by objective. Teams are typically more productive and driven when they have clear objectives to meet. We've mentioned that already. Project members can support the team by setting objectives collaboratively with the team. Project managers and the team can determine joint objectives that are challenging yet attainable. Objective setting can be conducted at the start of a project or phase, but is commonly done throughout the project life cycle, such as an iteration planning session in which the team sets the targets and commitments for the upcoming time period. Objectives, again, should be defined using the SMART methodology as well. And then feedback. So to learn, adapt, and grow requires constructive feedback. Continuous feedback is essential for agility and responsiveness. Regular feedback is crucial for the team in all project management methodologies and team environments. Discovering the most appropriate and timely feedback is a responsibility of the project manager. For instance, agile methods follow iterative and incremental development, and within each iteration, the product improves. With every iteration, the team members provide feedback and assistance to each other, and a working product is demonstrated to the customer for feedback and direction. That feedback feeds the subsequent iterations and the product backlog. Regular customer input gives the team the opportunity to improve on the product before the final deliverable is sent to the customer, instead of when it may be too late. Now let's consider some of the tools that can be used to track the team's performance. The following table, or the table you see on the screen, defines some of the common tools that are used to do this. Scrum, Agile, Kanban boards, these are physical or electronic boards that can track work as it progresses across various stages or categories, and is based on the Japanese management method of pulling cards to various stages as they're worked on. And I kind of did a little bit of a capture of one that I had gotten online. Throughput metrics, also known as the flow rate. This is a measure of a business process flow rate. Essentially, it measures the movements of inputs and outputs within the production process. It's an important metric in the operations management of a company. This variable primarily indicates the efficiency of operations that are vital to the overall success of the business. The maximization of throughput levels can be the key driver in maximizing a company's revenue. Consider a company called ABC Corp. That manufactures chairs. The company's management wants to increase its profits by improving the operations process. Therefore, the management decides to find out what the company's current throughput is. Currently, the company holds 100 chairs in inventory. The average time that a chair is contained in the business process from its production to selling is 10 days. So the company's throughput is 10 chairs per day. Alternatively, you could state that the daily throughput is 10 chairs. Cycle time. Cycle time is a metric that measures how long it takes for an item to move from the in progress column to the done column. It helps teams to determine job start and finishing times, as well as their general delivery capability. A process's cycle time is calculated by dividing all the work in progress items by their average completion rate. Why is cycle time important? Well, one of the most common questions stakeholders ask is, how long will this take? And it's an important one. It helps them to determine costs and to best plan for their market. But having to answer the question often leads to frustration from the delivery teams, who often answer, it will take as long as it takes. Such a response doesn't allow clients to plan anything, and it shows a lack of efficiency on the delivery team's side. The bottom line is, if delivery teams do not know how to provide this answer, customers will go to suppliers. The bottom line is, if the delivery teams do not know how to provide the answer, customers will go find another supplier. Okay, that's the way it will work. In my department, I'm often asked by my internal clients how long it will take for us to complete a privacy review. They use this information, of course, then to determine how long, where to plug it into the completion for their projects, and to determine if they're going to have any other outstanding items that they haven't otherwise planned for. A quality metric. A quality metric specifically describes a project or product attribute and how to verify compliance to it. I think maybe y'all have already discussed quality some. Some examples of quality metrics include percentage of tasks completed on time, cost performance measured by cost performance index or CPI, which we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit later here. Failure rate, number of defects identified per day, total downtime per month, errors found per line of code, customer satisfaction scores, and percentage of requirements covered by the test plan as a measure of test coverage. The quality metrics are useful, very useful tracking tool in common. Earned value, this is one we'll be talking about tonight too as well. It's a measure of work performed expressed in terms of the budget authorized for that work. Project managers monitor earned value both incrementally to determine current status and cumulatively to determine the long-term performance trends. Bar charts, I know y'all have been exposed to bar charts, specifically a Gantt chart. We'll use the project schedule to track performance over time. And then lastly, velocity. Velocity is an indication of the average amount of product backlog turned into an increment of product during a sprint by a Scrum team, tracked by the development team for use within the Scrum team. And it helps to predict future iteration outputs. So that was a lot of information. Let me stop there and see if anybody have any questions. Excellent, excellent. Well, then we're going to move on to the last last leg of this, which is the earned value management portion. I'm not sure if y'all have had some exposure to this yet, but this is generally where it gets the most focus. And so let's go ahead and delve into this. So earned value management is a methodology that combines scope, schedule, and resource measurements to assess project performance and progress during project execution. You can measure project progress by comparing actual schedule and cost performance against planned performance as laid out in the schedule and cost baselines. Assessing the value of work requires first determining what work has been performed and therefore what value it has contributed to the project. These performance reviews are usually included in each project status review meeting. During planning, project work is broken down into work packages and activities. Each work package is assigned a budget and a schedule. Because each increment of work is time-phased, schedule variance results when work is not completed when it was scheduled to be completed. It is valuable to understand the monetary value of that work contribution. Cost and schedule performance. The EVM approach to monitoring cost and schedule performance provides metrics that show variances from these baselines. Armed with this information, the project manager can identify appropriate corrective actions. When cost and schedule variance analysis is conducted at the appropriate time intervals and levels, it can be effective in controlling against further cost and schedule problems. And then EVM variables. There are several variables you'll want to become very familiar with. EVM involves determining 3 independent variables to assess and monitor project cost and schedule performance progress. These 3 variables are used to provide measures of whether work is being accomplished as planned and to forecast project cost at completion. The variables are planned value, or PV, earned value, or EV, and actual cost, AC. So we'll dig in a little bit more and talk about those. So planned value is the authorized budget assigned to scheduled work. This amount is specified in the project's cost baseline. In simpler terms, PV indicates the value of work scheduled to be done during a particular time period. So let's consider this example for evaluating planned value. A project to build a shed was proposed. It involved 3 tasks that needed to be done: flooring, drywalling, and roofing. The flooring was budgeted at $200 and will take 2 days to complete. The drywalling was budgeted at $800 and will take 4 days to complete. And the roofing was budgeted at $600 and will take 3 days to complete. So the total budget for building the shed is $1,600. The total budget calculated for the first 6 days of work, involving 2 days of flooring and 4 days of drywalling, would be $200 plus $800, $1,000 total. Therefore, the PV or planned value of this project for 6 days is $1,000. Okay. So that's PV. Earned value. Earned value is the measure of work performed expressed in terms of budget authorized for that work. In other words, EV is a composite measurement of both cost and time performance in relation to scheduled or planned cost and time performance. EV is calculated by multiplying the percentage of work completed by the budgeted cost for the activity as is laid out in the cost baseline. So EV equals the percent completed times planned value. In order to determine the EV of a project work to date, you will have to look back at the cost baseline to determine how costs were assigned originally. If the PV was determined by the percentage completed to date method, you will apply the same method of assessing the EV. In other words, EV indicates the value of work completed during a particular time period. So let's consider the following example, in regard to the shed project. The manager of the shed building project receives a project report at the end of day 6, which says that the flooring task, $200, is 100% complete, and the drywalling task, $800, is 75% complete. To calculate the EV for the completed work, you apply the following formula: percent work complete to date times the budgeted cost. So EV in this example would be $800. All right, so that's EV. And now let's go on to actual cost. Actual cost is the realized cost incurred for the work performed on the activity during a specific time period. AC refers to the total amount of cost incurred while performing work, either during completion of a scheduled activity or during the completion of a WBS component. Actual cost is calculated and documented once the work is complete. In other words, AC indicates the actual money that has been spent for work that has been completed. An example of AC calculation for the shed project is as follows. The shed building project report also states that the actual money spent on the flooring is $180 and on drywalling is $700. So the actual cost of the project as of day 6 is $880. I think actual cost is pretty straightforward. Okay. And then looking at EVM measures for scheduled control. Okay, so the most used EVM measures for scheduled control are schedule variance and schedule performance index. Schedule variance is a measure of schedule performance expressed as the difference between the earned value and the planned value. In other words, SV equals EV minus PV. A positive SV indicates that the project is ahead of schedule, which is generally good. A zero SV indicates that the project is on schedule. A negative SV indicates that the project is behind schedule. The Schedule Performance Index, it's a measure of schedule efficiency. So there's a difference there. It says a measure of schedule efficiency expressed as the ratio of earned value to planned value. So SPI equals EV over PV. An SPI number greater than 1 indicates that the project is ahead of schedule. If it's equal to 1, the project is on schedule. And if it's less than 1, it indicates that the project is behind schedule. Okay. And now let's look at EVM measures for cost control. So the most used EVM measures for cost control are cost variance and cost performance index. The cost variance is the amount of budget deficit or surplus at a given point in time expressed as the difference between the earned value and the actual cost. So CV equals EV minus AC. A positive CV indicates that the project is performing under budget. The 0 indicates that the project is on budget, and a negative CV indicates that the project is performing over budget. The cost performance index, again here, usually when you hear index, you should think efficiency. It's a measure of the cost efficiency of budgeted resources expressed as a ratio of the earned value to actual cost. CPI equals EV over AC. So a CPI number greater than 1 is going to indicate that the project is under budget. Equal to 1 means the project is on budget, or less than 1 indicates that the project is over budget. Okay, we're getting pretty close to being finished here, just a couple more. So estimated at completion analysis. So the current projected final cost of the project is referred to as the estimate at completion, or EAC. It is based on the current spending efficiency, the CPI, and it's calculated from the following formula, where budget at completion is the sum of all budgets established for the work to be performed. Okay? So estimated at completion estimate is the current projected final cost of the project. And then estimate to complete analysis. So during execution, you might need to know how much more money you're going to need to complete the project. So this amount is called the estimate to complete, or ETC. And it's based on the current spending efficiency of the project, and it's calculated from the following formula, EAC minus AC. So with that, we've absolutely covered a lot in this session. I know those formulas may be rolling around a lot there, but I think as you begin to work, some of the problems, they'll start to make a lot more sense to you. They did me. And I can tell you one of the things that helped me a lot was this particular book. I don't know if you have been made aware of it before, but if you haven't, I did check Amazon today. It is still being sold out there. It's not very much. It looks like it costs about $8. And if you have the Kindle Unlimited plan, you can certainly get it as well. But there's about 50 questions in here, and I feel every one of them were useful. I felt very confident when I was when I was on doing the exam.
My name is Robert.
And I absolutely, didn't have. I don't feel like I had any problems at all in dealing with the questions that the PMP exam presented.
I'm standing in front of the third largest amusement park in the state of
I
Texas.
thought that person could hear me and tell them to mute. Hey, Kathy, can you identify them and mute them manually?
Activities right here behind me. Again, my name is Robert, and I'm a virtual sales coach here to provide you with tips and recommendations towards keeping your representatives engaged while working in a virtual setting. Much like the amusement park, keep your teams engaged with activities. Some successful activities.
Sounds like a commercial.
It does, doesn't it? Or the TV or something.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out who it is, but
this is the Big Texan Steak Ranch in Amarillo, Texas.
There we go. Perfect. I think we've got it. Thank you.
Okay.
And we were almost finished here. So, but anyway, I encourage everybody towards this book. I mean, like I said, I got a lot of use out of it. Eileen also has some other books, for example, how to get every network diagram question right on the PMP exam.
Now that's something to get excited about. What else is exciting? Virtual coaching. Virtual coaching is a good thing. We live in a world.
I think it's your computer, Cindy. It's got to be playing some sort of commercial.
Exciting virtual coaching.
Oh, no.
Virtual coaching is a good thing.
It isn't. I don't know how. Certainly.
Okay, I think I got the person.
Okay, good. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, perfect. Thank you. But anyway, Eileen does have some other books as well that you'll see. If you go onto Amazon, for example, and you look for this particular book, you'll see her other books that she offers. One of them that I found very useful was on the network diagram questions. I went through that book completely as well, and again, felt very confident on doing network diagrams. So if you haven't covered network diagrams yet, you will. But that book's also very useful. So I'm going to stop there. That's everything I have for this evening.
Representatives will work harder for someone who truly cares.
Where is this person coming from?
Lead with candor.
Somewhere in Siberia, probably.
I think so. Well, let me try to get
know.
some questions. I know. They kind of keep coming in and out.
Being direct, but also showing your representatives you care about them personally. This goes a long way. Dale Carnegie,
I'm just
author
muting
of How to
everybody
Win
who's
and
not
Influence
muted.
People, said it best. You gather more
Yes.
bees with honey. Representatives will work harder for someone who truly
One
cares.
second, let's see if I can do anything. I don't have the option to mute all.
Yeah, I did it. I have it, and I'm not sure if that helped enough.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, let me ask you, does anybody have any questions, comments?
Personally,
I'm gonna make y'all go in
Dale
chat
Carnegie, author of How to Win and Influence
because
People,
I don't know
said
how
it
to
best. You gather
make
more
this
bees
stop.
with honey.
I'm gonna mute
Representatives
me.
will work harder for someone who truly cares. Use virtual coaching as a way to build
It's
trust.
not me. Well, I'll ask again. If you have any questions, please feel free to come off mute.
Hi, my name is Robert, and I'm standing in front of the third largest amusement park in the state of Texas, right
This
here
is so
in
weird.
Amarillo, Texas.
Okay, who lives in Texas?
As you can see, there's
Who
many
knows Robert?
activities right here behind me. Again, my name is Robert, and I'm a virtual sales coach here to provide you with tips and recommendations towards keeping your
Who cares?
representatives engaged while working in
Here
a
it is.
virtual
It's
setting.
Robert Bustamante.
Much like the amusement
Can you
park,
mute him?
keep your teams engaged with activities. Some successful activities.
I did, but I can't. It doesn't seem to help.
Yeah, and it doesn't show as muted either. That is so weird. Robert, can you hear us?
He's not on audio. That's why you can't mute him.
He's dialed in from another phone. Another number.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he's on his phone.
All right, I'm ready. Are you? I'm still at work. Do you want to meet somewhere, or do you want me to just head home, or what?
Well, if
I don't
that's
know. I'm
Robert,
gonna leave it up to you.
yeah.
Today's
Just me.
Wednesday. Man, so much stuff sounds good to me. I'm just gonna start naming stuff. I'm kind of more in a steak mood, I guess, today. So I'm gonna be like Big Texan, Texas Roadhouse.
We better cut off the call before something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't you drop him?
Yeah.
I'll just drop
I don't
them.
like losing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He's getting me hungry. I haven't eaten dinner and he's getting me hungry too.
Okay, so we're gonna meet there? Yeah. Okay, all right, bye.
Oh, man.
I still can't get rid of them.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. I think he's gone though. He did hang out.
I expelled him. I did everything. I chatted him, and then he said, "Stop, mute yourself."
I think he might be gone now. All right. Any questions, comments?
Speechless.
I know, right? That was a lot of information, and then, of course, we got a little bit more than we planned for. But
Hey, Cindy, this is Alan. I want to just thank you for just kind of sharing this book that you're recommending. And I know the formulas, it's going to take up a little bit of a portion of the test, but, I appreciate you just kind of sharing with us what helped you, because that was going to be one of my questions. What kind of approach did you take when it came to the formula? So I really appreciate you sharing this book right here.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, these all supplemental materials help along the way, and just kind of give you that focus. And again, the book she's written these questions very similar to what you'll see on the PMP, so it'll give you a good level of comfort. All right. Well, like I said, I'll be with you on Monday again with Chris Williams, so we'll continue on this topic. And we're looking forward to talking with you guys there. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes while everybody starts to head out. If you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and leave, but I'll stick around if you have any additional questions, okay? Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Bye now.
Bye.